Welcome to a special episode of Mechwarrior Online with FUBAR Plays. I'm doing this one specifically because a Discord viewer mentioned that the loadout for Mechwarrior Online looked a little bit more intimidating than it actually is, so I just wanted to kind of go over it a little bit for him. This is for Shotgun Golem of Golm's Discord channel. So let me go ahead and kind of differentiate between the clan mechs and the inner sphere mechs. And we're going to start with the inner sphere mechs and kind of just go over what doing loadouts means. So let's first start with the Warhammer, which was released on January 19th. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. So first starting off, all of the inner sphere mechs are based off of hardpoints. Now, what a hardpoint is, if you go to your loadout, you have... Let's go ahead and actually just remove all of the weapons so you can kind of get an idea. What a hardpoint is basically you can have anything you want on that hardpoint as long as it conforms to the hardpoint's configuration. For example, on this particular Warhammer, the 6D, as in Delta, you have on your right arm 2 energy hardpoints. So if, let's say, I wanted, okay, this, I take a look at this mech, you know what, actually, we're not going to talk about quirks yet. Let's just talk about just the points. So let's say, you know what, I really like large lasers. We're just going to throw large lasers all over this thing. I can put 2 large lasers on this arm because it has 2 energy hardpoints. So, there we go. We now have 2 large lasers. I can't put a third one on there, as you can see, because it only has the 2 energy hardpoints. Now, let's say I wanted to put, well, I can't unfortunately show you on this mech, but let's go to a mech with multiple hardpoints. Where's my other Warhammer? This one. If I go to its loadout, on its right torso, it has 2 energy hardpoints. I can tell that because it has 2 energy weapons and 2 missile weapons. I can tell that because it has 1 missile weapon already there, and it still has 1 hardpoint remaining. So I could actually have 2 missiles here of any type. So that means, however, I can't put a missile on my arm because I don't have a missile hardpoint there. Now, next thing to talk about would be slots. So as you can see, this ERPPC, that takes up 3 slots. Now, slots are very important. If I want to upgrade my mech to be a little bit lighter by using either the ferrofibrous, which makes my armor lighter per its tonnage, then that takes up 14 additional slots. Now, each of these slots, so you have here in your arm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 slots in your arm on this mech. So if I wanted to, for example, remove one of these double heat sinks, I now freed up 3 slots, and I could put something on here. Let's see if we can find something with a lot of slots, but low tonnage, which is a little bit harder than it sounds. Actually, there is a good mech to show you this with. Where is my... Let's go to a medium mech. So, for example, this is an Enforcer. Now, if I strip down all of his armor, everything that he has on him, I would have slots over here on my right arm. Let's actually go ahead and just do that. We're just going to strip all equipment. So he has double heat sinks, which just makes your heat sinks better. It just makes your heat sinks a bit bigger also. And then you have endo steel, which takes up 14 slots. But because I don't have enough slots on my arm, I can't have the AC-20 because it only is able to take up 10 slots, and I only have 13. Or I'm sorry, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on my arm. So unfortunately, I can't use the AC-20. But if I had a mech like, where's my flame? But on my flame, I can't because it has the slot number of available to do the AC-20. This, I think, is a carryover from BattleTech. I don't know. I've never actually played BattleTech, so I wouldn't know that. The next important thing to kind of note is the tonnage. Each mech is a different tonnage according to its chassis variant. So, for example, the Quick Draw is a 60-ton mech, and the Dragon is a 60-ton mech. However, the Black Knight is a 75-ton mech. Now, when you're doing the community warfare and group play, tonnage is actually pretty important because that determines what mechs you actually can use. So if you are in a group and your drop deck is 170 tons, then that means with all the people in your group, you have to have the combined 70 tons. Now, how does this play out for the mechs? Well, heavier mechs tend to be a bit slower. For example, my where is it? This is the Black Knight 7, has an XL340 engine, which I actually got from the Cicada Champion. Now, if I threw that on the Cicada Champion, which is a 40-ton mech, I believe, 40-ton mech, it would be running at about 130 kilometers per hour. But because it's on my Black Knight, it just makes my Black Knight run 73. Now, back to where I was going with the... Well, actually, let's talk about the upgrades. So upgrades are important because they basically make your mech in effect better. In effect better. And that's because they, for example, the Endosteel, which is probably one of the better ones, it makes you lighter because your internal armor is itself lighter. It's more expensive than the ferrofibrous. It's based off of your tonnage as a mech, like the ferrofibrous, but it makes you significantly lighter. So that's why when I say you typically want to have that as your first upgrade, that would be why. Because otherwise, my mech itself, check that out, I gain how much? I gain 3.5 tons. So you know what 3.5 tons equals? That equals one medium pulse laser and a medium laser and a small laser. So that's really important to know that, you want to kind of work towards these upgrades. Okay, so what else can we talk about the Inner Sphere mechs? Well, the heavy mechs and the assault mechs do get this module, the Beagle, not the Beagle Active Pro, but the Command Console, which improves them. It's equivalent to the Clan one. Normally, I don't believe a lot of mechs really use them. I don't see a lot of builds use them. But it is there if you really want to use it. So, since we're talking about Inner Sphere mechs, let's talk about Quirks. Since that's kind of a helpful thing to have when you're doing your mech builds themselves. And let's take a look at this dragon here. Now, this dragon actually was recently nerfed in December with the Balance Pass. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so these are primarily for the Inner Sphere mechs. That is because the clan mechs, which we'll get into later, their clan technology is better. So let's take a look at this. I have a 10% AC5 cooldown, and I have a ballista cooldown. Now, what that means is that if I go to my weapons group, and I hover over my AC5, you can see there that I have that 30% there. Now, what the cooldowns mean is that I shoot faster, basically, which increases my DPS. And they are pretty self-explanatory. If I go to one of my new Warhammers, I believe it is this one here, I have a quirk for PPC velocity, the particle protection cannon velocity, which means that those projectiles just shoot faster. And typically, and this is why the balance pass happen, is you want to kind of gauge your mechs towards your quirks. So, for example, I might not want to run a lot of large lasers on this because I don't really get a lot of perks towards those large lasers. Instead, this mech might be better as a PPC boat. Okay, so let's go ahead and also talk about, since we're on Inner Sphere mech still, we can talk about where hardpoint locations. And this is something that's kind of more towards the meta of MechWarrior Online. So let's talk about the where things are located. So as you can kind of see that on this mech, this right here would kind of be where my cockpit is, and this are where my lasers are. So basically, if I wanted to pop over a hill, I'm pretty much good to go because my vision is going to be right where these large lasers are going to be shooting at. Now let's take a look at another mech. Let's take a look at a Black Knight. This is where my cockpit is. These are where my weapon shoots from. So this is what is also known as knuckle dragging. And what that means is, as you can see, these weapons, I have to be basically, let's say there's a hill, and I want to pop over the hill because I know that there's enemies on the other side. I have to have my body right here in order to shoot over that hill. Where on the quick draw, I would have to have my body roughly about here. Now, like I said, that's more towards the meta. If you're playing this game, I recommend that you play the mechs that you want to play. Fuck the meta, play what you want to play. And that's kind of basically where things lie with Inner Sphere mechs. I can also tell you a little bit about Ghost Heat, because that really applies to both mechs. So if you see here, I got a warning on this mech. That's because I have 4 large lasers. And this is done for balance purposes. Basically, with certain weapons, if you fire more than a certain amount, you generate extra heat. This is called Ghost Heat. So if I fired all 4 of these large lasers all at the same time, I generate almost double the heat that I would if I fired just 2 at a time. And that goes double for the clan mechs because they have the same issue. Now, you might be wondering, what is the difference between a clan mech and an Inner Sphere mech? Well, clan mechs, in a word, I would say are quote-unquote better. And that is because their weapons are better. Just to give you an idea, this is the Clan Ultra AC5. Notice how it takes up 1, 2, 3 slots, and it weighs, where is it? Ultra AC5. It weighs 7 tons, takes 3 slots. I go to an Inner Sphere mech, and I go to the Auto AC5, the Ultra AC5. It's 9 tons, and it's 5 slots. So it's 2 extra slots, and I believe it was 7 tons for the... and it's 2 tons lighter. Also, some of the clan weapons shoot a little bit different. So, for example, this one is more of a da-da-da instead of the Inner Sphere, which is basically a semi-auto fire. And yep, this is 7 tons. So it is 2 slots lighter or 2 slots less and 2 tons lighter. Clan weapons do have a tendency to generate more heat. They have a longer laser burn time. About laser burn time, that's basically how long your laser is basically shooting. To give you an idea, if I have a 3-second burn time, it takes 3 seconds for me to do full damage with that laser. So you want lesser burn times because you're going to do more damage that way. Or damage faster. It increases your DPS. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of other things about clans. Now, you might see here that on the clan mech, I have Omnipods. Now, what Omnipods are, they're basically a way to better customize your clan mech. As you can see, these are all black for the clan mech. I can't change anything about this clan mech with its upgrades. It is married to being standard armor. It's married to have standard structure. You automatically have the double heat sinks, which for clans are only 2 slots. And let's see here. So, for example, right now I have a prime right torso on this mech. But you know what? I don't use ballistics on this mech. So, you know what I want to do? I want to have just missiles. So I can take this Hellbringer B, and I can actually replace the right torso, and now I'm using 2 missiles instead. And let's go to weapons, and just to show you what I'm talking about, let's do LRM5s, since they're only a single ton. So now, instead, I have two LRM-5s instead of having a Prime, which is two ballistic and one missile. And that's really the difference customization-wise with the clan mechs. You are able to use the Omnipods to kind of fix your mech to have the whatever loadout you really want. Now, the Omnipods themselves do have specific hardpoints. So, for example, if I wanted to have a... where is it? An Arctic Cheetah, we'll use that as a good example. Let's say I wanted an Arctic Cheetah to have EMC, I would have to have this Omnipod. Now, if the mech has no Omnipods that provide EMC, you're not going to have EMC. So I think that the Mist Lynx doesn't have EMC. So if I go to the loadouts and I go to the Omnipods, I can actually check and see what hardpoints they have. And by clicking through all of them and just taking a quick look, I can see none of them have EMC. So this mech is out of luck with EMC. Also, these mechs have fixed items on them. You can't change the engine, so you can't make your Arctic Cheetah faster, despite it being fast already. And if you want jump jets and your pod doesn't allow it, well, you don't have jump jets. And that's basically the difference customization-wise and loadout-wise of the two mechs. And let's see, anything else I can go over real quick about that? Not that I can really think of. Well, let's go ahead and just take a look at a couple of other mechs. So, for example, the Artemis, what that does is that just basically increases the lock speed of your missiles, just make them a little bit better to use. And some upgrades are a little bit more useful than others. Normally on the light mechs are where you'll see the fibrous armor used because they don't have as many hard points and they typically need the more tonnage available to them. Okay, and let's take a look at one more mech. So now, a word of caution. If you are expecting to see Omnipods on the recently released 2C mechs, unfortunately you'll be a little bit disappointed because those are kind of a hybrid between the Inner Sphere and clans. Now, while these belong to the clans, so they get the access to the clan weapons, they also have the upgradability of the Inner Sphere. So if I wanted to have a better engine, I could change the engine. If I wanted Endo Steel, I can have Endo Steel. I believe that the 2Cs are basically upgraded anyways for the most part. So you're not really going to see too much upgrading with them until they are released for mech credits and C-bills. But for the most part, they are available right now, ready to go as upgrade-wise, which will save you some C-bills. And as you can kind of see, some of these mechs, as soon as you get them, these ones I bought, I haven't really done much with them. Well, this one I have, apparently. But let's go to one that I haven't, this quick draw. So as you can see, I can still kind of upgrade this one, and when you have it upgraded, it changes it to dynamic slots. But there are some really good videos out there. I don't unfortunately have a link on me, but I will include it in the description to a really good tutorial that will explain the build process a little bit more in depth. But that is basically what the... Oh, engines. That's actually a good point. So, there are two types of engines. You have standard engines, which are available, and this is only Inner Sphere. Standard engines, and you have extra light engines. Standard engines are basically your older technology. It's very sturdy, but as you can see, it is heavy as shit. Look at that. For the same thing that I have right now with the XL, which is 15 tons, I'd have to add, 9 more tons to my mech to have an equivalent sized engine. Now, the thing is that these are a lot cheaper, and they don't take up extra slots in your side torsos. Now, another thing to note about the XL engine is that if my side torso goes, my engine goes. So these XL engines, while they are lighter, they do make you a bit glassy. So that is something to kind of keep in mind. So, for example, if I have a mech with crazy large side torsos, like this is not the right hunchback to use as an example, but let's go ahead and take a look for a hunchback that is a good example. So, for example, the 4G here. See that thing? Look at the size of that side torso. Basically, there's a sign that says, "Shoot me here." And if you have an XL engine, you're just going to have a bad time with this mech, because as soon as this goes, you are literally dead. And I think that covers engines, which is actually a really big thing about mechs and mech building. So, I mean, if you do have any questions, definitely leave a comment, or, just send me a message, and I will try and answer it as best as I can. And definitely check the game out. Right now, what's today? Today is I think it's the 21st. They do have a sale going on, and it's really a great idea to go ahead and take advantage of that sale. So, hope to see you on the battlefield.